My name is Karen Campbell, if you don't know me. I'm the owner of awesomeartschool.com, and I've also authored a few new books, including my latest one called Mixed Media Magic. I'm here today outside of my typical Mixed Media Monday and Fashion Fridays because I have a little story that I would like you to listen to. I'm bringing this to you from one of my good friends, Lucy Bryden, who lives in Scotland, which is my most favorite place on the planet. I'm super intrigued by the Celtic culture, all the mythical stories and creatures. And I'm actually sitting here in my art studio. I'm looking at pictures of a dragon that I've done and a kelpie, which is like a seahorse that's not so good. And I have fairies in front of me as well. So this just is a really big influence on me. I love the gregarious and friendly and happy people. I love that there's like a complete lack of strip malls. But anyways, one of the real reasons I love it is it just has like an enchanting atmosphere when you go visit. And I'm currently planning an artist retreat in a Scottish castle at the moment. I still have a few spaces left. And in order to give you a piece of the magic that I always seem to experience when I'm traveling there, I'm bringing today to you a very special story told by my good friend Lucy, like I said. And I met with her when I was at an art retreat there last year, and I was completely freaked out about ghosts in my hotel rooms and these evil fairy stories. And to make matters worse or better or more exciting, she had her own fairy story to tell me, and I just about died when she told me this story on the bus when we were traveling, because I was already super freaked out and completely enchanted and engrossed in these stories as it was. So without further ado, I introduce you to my good friend Lucy Bryden and her fairy story. And you gotta stay tuned and watch too, because there's some really cool surprises in there that you're not gonna believe. Okay, bye guys. I hope to see some of you in Scotland, August 2019, and if everything goes well, we'll be there again the following year, and maybe again the following year after that. So stay tuned. Love you guys. Bye.
So Karen wanted me to tell you my individual fairy story. I met Karen last year, I think it was, when she came over to Scotland on a painting holiday with Ivy Newport, and I told her my story then, even though I thought that she might think I was crazy. I don't know if you know about British, Scottish folklore, because nowadays we think on fairies as being these really cute, kind, almost childlike figures, very magical. But in old ancient stories, fairies had a really mischievous, almost slightly evil side to them as well. There were bad fairies too, and there are things called fairy rings, and they are usually a collection of mushrooms or plants or stones that grow in a ring, and for no particular reason. And the ancient stories that went about fairy rings were that if you went into one, the fairies would steal you and they would transport you back in time or forward in time by 200 years, a bit like Outlander. I wonder if Diana Gabaldon got her part of her story from this myth, from this legend. And there were stories of people appearing back, but their families were much older, or they were much older, and so being kidnapped by the fairies was quite a scary prospect actually. And so near to me, there was one day that I was driving a friend to the train station, and on the road, as we were driving, I saw a sign that said fairy ring, and it wasn't a temporary sign. It looked like in the UK, in Scotland, we have these special road signs for historical sites. They look a little bit different from normal road signs, but they're still metal road signs. They're not made out of cardboard or anything. And both of us, myself and my friends, saw this sign that said fairy ring. But because we were in a hurry, we carried on to the train station, and we didn't stop. And we both said to each other, next time we go on that road, we must stop and check out the fairy ring. And so I know I haven't made this up because I have a witness. My friend also saw this. And so next time she was down, we left early to go to the train station so that we could stop at the fairy ring sign and check out the fairy ring. But when we got there, there was no sign there anymore. The sign had disappeared. But we stopped the car anyway, and we walked up this little path that's in the countryside. We walked up a little path to where the sign had been pointing. It was just up a dirt track. It wasn't a normal road. And there was, at the top of the hill, there was a copse of trees. So there was a circle of trees. We get them a lot in Scotland, where there's a field, and in the middle of the field there's a circle of trees that sometimes has ancient buildings that have decayed in amongst the circle of trees, and that's the reason why the farmer hasn't ploughed them down, because it's too much work, or so they just plough round the trees and leave the trees in the circle. And it was so spooky there. The trees looked like they were people. There were lots of trees in the shape of people. It looked like there were people in them. And now you're going to think I'm mad. And there was also in the ground, in the dirt on the path, we saw several old leather shoes that looked like they'd been there a really long time, and they were kind of stamped into the dirt, and it was just the soles of the shoes that were left. I've got photographs of them somewhere, and we felt like we were being watched, so we kind of made this hasty retreat back to the car and got back in the car and carried on to the train station. But the strangest thing was that this sign had definitely been there, and then it just magically disappeared. And there's a woman near me who is really into lots of magical stuff and witchcraft and things like that, and so she was the person I told because I knew she wouldn't laugh at me. And all she said to me was that if there had been a fairy ring sign there and it had disappeared, that sign was meant for us, and we had this little window of time to find it, and it was probably a good job that we hadn't gone up the hill when we'd seen the sign. So that's my fairy story, and thanks, Karen, for making me tell it, even though now all the viewers of the video are going to think that I'm absolutely crazy. But I can assure you that it's true. I'm not making it up. So something was definitely going on up there. And actually, I kind of avoid that hill now. I wouldn't really park my car and walk up that track anymore, because there was definitely something really, really spooky about it. We get these copses of trees all over the place, and I always think that there's something really mystical about them. There's something special about these copses of trees that have old buildings or churchyards, or broken down or stone. Quite often there's stone circles inside them. So maybe there was something going on there with that fairy ring, and I've never ever seen the sign since. It was just there that one time, and it's never been back again. So maybe there's something in these tales, these old ancient tales of people getting lured into fairy rings and disappearing. Goodness knows what might have happened if I'd gone up the hill when we saw the sign. So back to the painting, I'm now painting the butterfly wings.